Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Connect to Florida on this beautiful Sunday morning. I hope it's beautiful in the area where you live. If you live in Florida anywhere, you know we're experiencing a storm. Some areas are getting hit a little harder than others right now, but nobody is getting like absolutely pummeled, so it's just a really bad downpour right now for most people. Hopefully there won't be a lot of flooding, but I know there is some patchy flooding going on in different areas. So be sure to stay safe out there if you're in Florida, and just kind of know that it's going to move through, we think, pretty quickly. So nothing to get too worried about. So normally on Sunday morning, we do kind of a recap of the week. If there was anything eventful, anything that you need to know about, anything that's particularly interesting going on here in Florida. So really, other than the storm that was looming and is now here, other than that, the only thing that really was relatively significant and newsworthy was the fact that the interest rates did take a little step down again. And we all know that's a step in the right direction. Now, I've mentioned on my videos many times that, in my opinion, if the numbers start to sit up in that high 5 range, even the low 6 range, that's an interesting number. If you're sitting on the fence because you're waiting specifically for the interest rates to come down, that is sort of my zone, the range that I think you've got to get serious about it at that point. Because anything that's in the 5s, let's just not even say high 5s, but if it hits the 5s, or even the very low 6s, which we're not quite there yet. But if it hits that, I think that's worth taking a look at, because that is a sustainable number where I could see it staying there. That's not bad. So that happened, and that's good news. The other good news is that there are lenders out there. A couple of the lenders that I work with are offering this, and what it's called is a lock and float product. So basically, if you're out there looking right now and you're getting pretty excited because the rates are in the 6s now, and you feel like that's starting to become doable, you saw a couple of houses that you're really interested in, we are still in the summer season, so you're in that opportunity window to get better pricing. People are still obviously in panic mode. So the sun, the moon, and maybe the stars are kind of starting to line up a bit. So if you are in a position where you need a loan, but you're nervous to pull the trigger because you're afraid that in a month or so from now, the rate might come down even lower, a lock and float product is great, because you can lock in now, and if it floats down, then you'll get that lower interest rate. So if you're interested in a product like that, I'm not a lender at all, but I can definitely give you a referral to one that is doing it. So it's a good product. So before we jump into this video, if you're new to the channel, I want to say hi. My name is Barrett Pastor. I've been a real estate broker for 26 years. So hopefully I'm coming to you from a place of knowledge and experience, and I can help you navigate your purchase, your sale, or just your overall questions about Florida. So if you're interested and you need a little more one-on-one help, you have some specific issues, problems, questions, you're thinking about retiring to Florida, you're a couple, 2-3 years off, and you just need some direction and guidance from somebody who is unbiased, you just need to ask questions and get real answers, I do offer consultations. I will leave it right here with a link down below if you're interested in that kind of thing. I do them all week long by Zoom and by phone call. So check that out if you need a little additional help. All right, so today we are going to be talking about several cities that I think are worth kind of a side eye. You know what I mean? They're worth a, wait a minute, I didn't see you over there. So many of us know about the larger cities in Florida: Sarasota, Tampa, Naples, Miami. These cities that are a little bit more well-known, Orlando, we all know sort of the roundabout location and what these larger cities offer. And a lot of times we can get laser locked on that one little spot. And what we don't realize all the time is that there might be a little pot of gold in what I call a one-off city. So meaning just 1 or 2 steps outside of those cities that I mentioned that you might be more familiar with. And many times your one-off pot of gold might save you $100,000. So today we're going to be talking about those little nuggets out there that you may be unaware of that might be worth doing a little investigating. You know, I always say when people say, I want to be able to walk to the beach, my first question is, what is your budget? And if they say something like $400,000, usually I have to ask them how far they can walk, because listen, in the hot Florida heat, if you can walk 3 miles in your home state, let's say you can walk 3 miles and you live in Rhode Island, that is a different weather pattern. It gets real. It separates the men from the boys trying to walk 3 miles, pulling your kids in a wagon with all of your beach gear and your beach chairs on your back. It's a lot. So I always say, if you're going to be in your car at 1 mile, then be in your car at 3 miles and save yourself $75,000. So that's basically what we're going to be talking about today, is just bumping into that one-off to save yourself a lot of money, but still in towns and cities that have a lot to offer. All right, so the first one is Venice, Florida. So Venice is going to be right outside of Sarasota. And Venice has been kind of the stepchild to Sarasota for a long time. It was sort of like, well, if you can't afford Sarasota, then maybe consider Venice, but there's nothing there. Listen, that is not the case. So don't confuse Venice Island, which is lovely, with Venice. So if you go over the bridge, now you're in Venice, you're on the mainland. There is a lot to offer there as well. And as I said, if you're going to be in your car at 1 mile, be in your car at 3 miles, 5 miles. Save yourself a whole lot of money in homeowners insurance because you get farther and farther outside of that little hurricane cone. You know the one, you're probably familiar. So the farther away that you get from the possibility of flooding and storm surge, things like that, you're going to have better insurance opportunity and your pricing gets better. So they are doing a lot of building in Venice proper on the mainland. Lovely homes. Right now, for example, there are a couple communities that are building in Venice, Florida that you can open with a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, beautiful little home for $450,000. You can open on a villa, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath villa. And when I say villa, think of a single family home attached to another one. So it feels very much like you're living in a single family home. It's a really easy transition out of a larger home up north to a villa because it feels like it's sort of like a great room ranch, you know what I mean? So that's what it feels like attached to another house, and they are usually pretty private. They've got a wall between the 2 units, and usually it's just 2 homes, one right after another. So they're building those, opening at around $350,000. So these numbers get really interesting. Number 2, Wellen Park. Wellen Park is going to sit very, very close to Venice, but it's just a little bit south of Venice. It's a new community. It's being built out right now. When I say new, I mean, let's just say the last few years. So it isn't like sparse with nothing there. No. A lot of builders are into phase 2, 3, 4, and there's a whole new section that's opening up. That is brand newly announced. There is an entire new section of Wellen Park that has opened up. So if you were targeting Wellen Park, but you didn't really like the products that were being built there right now, listen, I have very good news for you because there are new builders coming in. MI Homes is going to be there. Neil is going to be there, which Neil is in Wellen Park right now. And there's also a new builder from Orlando that's coming in, and they're building really kind of a unique product. So lots of good opportunity. I really think that's a spot right now that's overlooked, but it's walkable, bike rideable, skateboardable, golf cart drivable. You can just take your little golf cart up to the community center, and in the downtown section, they have food trucks. There's a park area. There's a big lake. Lots to do. Coffee shop, wine bar. It's a very cute little community. There is not a community pool in Wellen Park, so you want to be aware. Make sure that what you're looking at has the amenities that you want. But they have anything ranging from 2-bedroom villas. They even have 55 plus condos. Lots going on there, lots of good stuff going on there. And again, that's going to be your one-off from Sarasota, or maybe even, you might even call it a one-off from Fort Myers, because it's kind of in between the two. The location is pretty good, and it's about 7 miles-ish from the beach. It's close to Englewood, Nokomis, Venice. It's a pretty good little central location. Number 3, my stomping ground, Estero. Now, here's the thing with Estero. Estero does not have a beach, but you are 10 minutes to the north or the south from a beach. You can pick up all of that coastline. So the thing about being in Estero is it is newer. It was a sleepy town that it was basically a drive-through town as you came from Naples to Bonita Springs, and then here's Estero, which was just a pass-through on to Fort Myers and on out. Well, now when they built what's called Coconut Point, it's a huge outdoor mall. But you might think, well, who cares? I can go to the mall where I live now. But they have so many things going on there. There's music, there's farmers markets. It's a fun little center. It's kind of like the hub of Estero. Lots going on there. Also, there is a downtown being built. The downtown area is going to be basically at 41 and Corkscrew. So when that gets up and running, I think you're going to see people's values go up. And like I say, I always put my money where my mouth is. That is where I own a home. So for me, I think Estero is one of those little, what used to be a pass-through, and now we have people asking about it all the time. And then down Corkscrew, there's lots and lots of new builds going on there. There's a new Publix going out there. That's the direction that the development is going in Estero. Stewart, Florida. Let's jump over to the other coast. So Stewart is a little kind of what I would call almost like a fisherman beachy town, kind of like an old Florida throwback. It's definitely more affordable than its one-off, which is going to be Fort Lauderdale, Miami. It's one off of those, and it also is similar to an Estero in the sense that it's always kind of been a pass-through. But now people are discovering that, wait, there's a lot of cute stuff in this little pass-through. When I stop to go to this little coffee shop or this little restaurant on the water or this little pier, I really enjoyed the vibe there. So it's a little town that has yet to be completely discovered with a whole lot to offer. Let's do one more. So a one-off to Destin, let's jump up into the Panhandle, would be Miramar Beach. Miramar Beach is relatively undiscovered because people think of Destin or even Santa Rosa Beach. People are a little bit more familiar with those beaches, and Miramar is beautiful. The water is a teal green color. There are lots of little shops, places to walk around. Like I said, get coffee, get wine, get appetizers. It's definitely a much more quiet vibe, but you're close enough to get to everything that you need that you'd get from a larger city. You can get to your Costco, you can get to your Publix, the larger ones, but you have that quiet, simple living vibe in Miramar Beach. Now, it is not inexpensive, but on the curve of living near or on the beach, as you move up into the Panhandle, because the Panhandle, in my opinion, does have a little bit more of seasons. If you're somebody that's worried about moving to Florida because you think you're going to miss the seasons, that might be a good spot for you to target, because it does get cold, in my opinion, in that part of Florida. You'll see 40s absolutely in the winter. So like down way south where I live, in the winter it's very rare for us to see 40s. You might see that 1 or 2 days, but for the most part in the winter you're still in the 80s. So if you're looking for something where you have a little bit of a break from the heat, then that might be a good spot for you to go to. And because of that, I think the prices are a little bit more affordable because you don't necessarily have that year-round thing that people are always looking for. So I hope that gave you something to think about. Don't get laser locked on the one city that you visit. If you always go to Sarasota, if you always go to Tampa, if you love downtown Naples, always know, unless you're living in the thick of that, right in the center of it, if you're in your car, you're in your car. So you might as well be in your car in a one-off city, saving a whole lot of money.